satisfy me.
Which you are you? Be the you who doesn't cover your moderate to severe plaques around.
Sovereign one, ancient of days, set apart is your name. And humbly I seek your face.
Hallelujah. Praise Yahuah. Truly, He deserves our praise. Want to say Shabbat Shalom to your family. It is great to see you on this Shabbat. Hallelujah. Praises be to Abba Yahuah, the Alakim of Shamayim and Arad. Samashpakai, it is wonderful to see you on this Shabbat. It is great to see each and every one of you, and to know and to be reminded that Yahuah has been truly good to us. He has brought us to yet another assembly, and for that we give Yahuah praise, for that we give him honor, and truly for that we give him esteem. Halal hu Yahuah, because truly there is none that deserve his praise, because there is none able and capable as he is able and capable. And our hearts go out today to our brothers and sisters, our family who are scattered throughout the Caribbean. Many lives have been lost there, and as Aki Franklin pointed out, that the news media says really nothing of it. It's amazing to me that I believe the number now is over 800 people killed in Haiti. And yet I was looking at CNN, and they spent time showing video footage of streets in Florida where really hardly anything is happening, and spend no time at all talking about the many lives that was lost in Haiti, and the impact that the storm has had in those poor nations that have no infrastructure, to keep them protected in situations like this. And the reality is, the fact of the matter is that it's not. That's right, Akut. That's right. And the reality is, the fact of the matter is that the infrastructure does not exist in these countries because of the workings of these other nations. You see, that's the reason why the infrastructure does not exist, because nations like Haiti have been constantly bombarded by a system that have been bent on its demise. Nonetheless, Yahuah's will be done, and may the people of Yahuah wake up, may the people of Yahuah arise. You see, the wicked can do nothing other than what they are allowed, because ultimately they only have as much power as they are allowed. And so in the midst of all of this, all things do work together for the good of them who love Yahuah and are the called according to his purpose. And this goes back to the fact, family, This goes back to the fact that Yahuah, the curses that have been brought upon us as a result of our disobedience, the curses said that many of us will be destroyed, and many have been destroyed. And may we wake up quickly and turn to Yahuah. May we turn away from idolatry and everything else that we have turned to, that has prolonged our suffering, that have prolonged the carnage, that have prolonged the oppression. May we, the people of Yahuah, wake up. May the people of Yahuah scattered in the isles and to the borders of the earth, may they wake up to hear the word of Yahuah. Yahuah, we ask today that you would send your word and heal your people, that you would send your word even in this time of devastation, that you would give them ears to hear and eyes to see and a heart of understanding. We ask that you would raise up servants who would declare your word, your truth, who would declare to them who they are, their history, hallelujah, and that they would cry out to you. And so we're looking forward today to getting into Yahuwah's word, his promises for his people who will turn to him, who will turn to his word. And so, family, even though we are a people in captivity, it is not all hopeless. Even though we are a people in captivity, it is not all hopeless, because Yahuwah promised that he would keep us even in our captivity, even in our bondage. If we would turn our faces to him, that he would keep us, that he would provide for us, that he would show favor unto us even in our captivity. And we've seen that time and time again. So you look at Daniel, and Daniel, while he was in captivity, Yahuwah certainly and truly favored him. And so Yahuwah will favor his people no matter where they are, you see. And so that's some of the things that we're going to be learning as we continue in our study from the book of Mashaly, because it has a lot to say about that. And so we look forward to continuing in that. Nonetheless, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you all. Shabbat Shalom to you all, Mashpaka. And it is wonderful to see each and every one of you today. I want to take some time to greet the family here before we go any further. And so let me just say Shabbat Shalom to my Akut Yariyah. It is wonderful to see you, Akut, as always. To my Aki Trevin, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Aki. And also to to Aki Yaderic, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, my Aki. Family, to your Bayat, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you all. To Aki Willie, I say Shabbat Shalom to you, my Aki. Great to see you as always. And also to my Aki Waraya Matatyahu, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, my Aki. Great to see you as always, Aki. To my Akut Vernice, Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut. Wonderful to see you as always, my dear Akut. Shabbat Shalom. And it is my hope. I haven't heard anything of my Aki Yaramyahu recently. I hope though that he is doing well, as well right now as can be, and that Yahuwah continues his healing in him. I also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Sharon. It's wonderful to see you as always, Akut, and to my Akut Shariah. Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut. Also to Akut Mary, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut Mary. Wonderful to see you as always. And also to Akut Mahalia, I want to greet you in the name of Yahuwah, Akut. To my Aki Keith, greetings to you, Aki, in the name of Yahuwah. Hallelujah. Let me try to see where this sound is coming from. Got it. First try. Okay. Also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Joan. It is wonderful to see you, Akut Joan, and I want to see, we'll get to it. I was looking for, okay, we'll get there. I was looking for Akut Adelaide. Okay, let me say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Joan and to Akut Adelaide. If you don't know, family, Akut Adelaide is Akut Joan's mom. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you both today and to your Bayat. Also want to say Shabbat Shalom To Akut Jeanette, wonderful to see you as always, Akut. And to my Akut Gina, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut. Also to my Aki Franklin, greetings to you, Aki, in the name of Yahuwah. Great to see you. To my Aki Delayahu, I greet you, Aki, in the name of Yahuwah, the great name, the strong name of Yahuwah. I also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Al Yashaba. Great to see you as always, Akut. Shabbat Shalom to you. To 248. Phone number 248-554. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, and also to 248-416. I want to say Shabbat Shalom also, and also to Akut Carmen. I say Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut, and to Akut Angela. I greet you, Akut, in the name of Yahuwah. To Akut Amunah, greetings to you, Akut Amunah. Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut. Wonderful to see you as always, and to share in this fellowship together. And also, again, to Akut Adelaide. And to the rest of Yasharal listening, whether you're listening on YouTube or you're listening on Fuse, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you too. Or you're listening via Facebook is what I meant to say. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you today. It is great to be able to spend this time with you, family. Give Yahuwah praise, honor, and esteem for this opportunity, for him making it possible. You know, the enemy is crafty and he seeks to interrupt and he seeks to stop that which Yahuwah does. But Yahuwah is greater. And so we praise the great Yahuwah. Halalhu Yahuwah. And so, just want to say,
Aki.
yes, go ahead, Aki.
So Shabbat Shalom to everyone, and what another great Shabbat that we're ready to have. And I just praise Yahuwah for another opportunity for us to go forth. I just wanted to say something that is very encouraging to me, and it's when you mentioned earlier about the everything works out for the good for those who love Yahuwah. Yes. That was in my mind. That scripture I've been dreaming about that whole chapter of Romans 8, and it's great how Yahuwah just speaks and how you mentioned that, because it's been in my heart all week, and I just want to request, if you could, to go over that chapter, kind of read it, all week, because I think it's encouraging to us even in this time, because it's just Yahuwah is, if you can, if we get to it. I just wanted to request that can we read that too, because it's an encouraging passage as far as scripture in that letter of Paul. But I just wanted to, ask that, and just say Shabbat Shalom to everyone once again, and I'm releasing the mic.
Praise Yahuwah. Praise Father, and to the Aki, certainly will look forward to reading that. Before we end today, I'll certainly read it. And not only that, I'll read it from the perspective from which Shahul spake, because he was echoing the words of Yahusha. When the brothers of Yahusha, after they had gone into Matzrayim because of the famine, and they had encountered their brother who they had sold into slavery. And after their father Yahuwah died, they thought that he was waiting to take revenge, but he was only waiting until the death of their father, because he did not want to hurt their father. And so after Yahuwah died, they were bracing themselves, and they figure, okay, let's preempt whatever is coming, and let's go to him. Let's go to Yahusha, and let's try to explain ourselves away, and let's apologize, so that he don't now, take revenge, or issue justice, perhaps I should say, for what we have done. I'm not going to say revenge, and there is a reason why I put that way, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But lest he should require justice for what we have done against him. And so let's go and apologize to him before he does anything. And so they went to their brother to apologize, and they were afraid, they were scared. But Yahusha, a man of great wisdom, and compassion and being guided by Yahuah, said to them, listen, paraphrasing, he said that all things do work, I'm paraphrasing, for the good of them who love Yahuah and are called according to his purpose. That's basically what he said to them. So basically what you did was only fulfilling the purpose of Yahuah, you see. And you know, family, when the wicked act and when the wicked work, it is important for us. It is important for us to know that the wicked is only bringing about the will of Yahuah. That the wicked is only bringing about the will of Yahuah. That out of their wickedness and out of their wicked act, justice will arise. Justice will arise. And so, you know, we cry out against their wickedness, you see, but we also know that out of what they intended to be for our demise, Yahuah is going to bring good out of it. You see, and for that we give Yahuah praise. Hallelujah. I want to take some time to greet the family on YouTube also. And so I want to say Shabbat Shalom to Aki Damon Diggs. Shabbat Shalom to you, Aki. Also want to say Shabbat Shalom to the family set apart, which is Aki Akut Kalia and Aki oh, forgive me, please forgive me, Aki, I forgot my Aki's name, but I want to say Shabbat Shalom, set apart, to the family of set apart. I want to say Shabbat Shalom. Also want to say I did greet Akut, Carmen, yes, Tuda, how can I forget Shama, how can I forget the call, the cry, to hear, Aki Shama. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Aki, and also to let's see who else I might not have greeted. Aki Edward, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Aki. Wonderful to see you. To Aki Jason, the same to you, my Aki. And to praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Halal Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. And to Aki M. Harrison. So I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you all, family. And to the families represented whose names are not on the screen, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you all. It is indeed a baraka to be here today. You know, family, I had an interesting dream this morning. In my sleep, my heart was burdened for my people. And I was dreaming. It was as if I was at work. And Martin Luther King came to the job. But he came to the job, he was a truck driver. Came to the job to pick up a shipment of product to go out. He was a truck driver. And so I'm having a conversation with him, and soon after I realized that it was Martin Luther King. And it's funny because in my dream, I'm saying, well, he is dead. I'm saying to myself while I'm having this conversation with him. But at the same time, I'm thinking, but he's dead, but he doesn't realize that he's dead. And so he has a radio, a walkie-talkie, and he's communicating with his dispatch. And I'm trying to tell him, hey, that radio don't work. They don't hear you. You're dead. But he's not paying attention to me saying that he's dead. For it seemed that he is very much alive to himself, and also, you know, to me he is quite alive. But yet I'm thinking he should be dead. He's dead. He's been dead. But we're having a conversation, and we're having a conversation about Yahuah's people, the people of Yahuah, you know. He was grieved over the condition of our people, the state of our people, the spiritual and mental state of our people. And as I'm talking to him, I'm weeping. And I'm weeping so much that I was really literally weeping in my sleep. I woke up weeping. woke up out of my sleep weeping for our people. My wife asked me, "Are you okay?" And I was telling her about the dream. But I literally woke up weeping, tears flowing, weeping for our people and the condition of our people, you know. And so it was quite something, you know. It was quite something. I woke up reflecting on the condition of our people. But may Yahuwah awaken a dysfunctional people. And may Yahuwah give us a heart for one another. May Yahuwah give us a heart for one another, you know. As our people suffer as they do around the world, may Yahuwah give us a heart for each other. And in our suffering, may we wake up and see Yahuwah as a people. May we look for Yahuwah. May the truth of Yahuwah come to his people. May the light of Yahuwah come to his people, you know. But that was the dream that I was having this morning, and I don't remember all the details of the dream. I just remember that I was having a conversation with Martin Luther King, and it was about our people, and it was you know, it was just a sad conversation, you know, a sad conversation. I thought it was an interesting dream. Okay, all right. Now, what we're gonna do now is, before we go any further, I'm gonna open up in prayer, Mashpaka. We haven't prayed yet. I'm gonna open up in prayer, and then I'm gonna open up the mic, you know, to anyone who have, you know, if you have a testimony you'd like to share, you just want to barak the name of Yahuwah. I'm looking forward to getting into the book of Mashaly, chapter 10 today. And also, when I come back from prayer, I want to just have a talk with you, family, for a moment about recent developments in my life and in the life of my family. I'll share that with you here in a moment. Something that has been ongoing now for the past 2 weeks, but I haven't said anything. But I will share the information, the details with you here in a moment. Okay. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. All right, praise Yahuwah. Let's turn our faces toward the set apart place of Yahuwah. Halal hu Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. Halal hu Yah. Praise Yahuwah. Abba Yahuwah, as we come before you today, we come and we barak your great name. We give you the esteem that you alone deserve. Truly, there is none like you, Father. There is none like you, and we honor you. We come today with thanksgiving and with praise. We come today, Yahuwah, to barak your great name, because your name is worthy to be praised. Your name is worthy to be exalted. And so, Father, we lift your set-apart name, Yahuwah, and we ask that you would be with us today, that you would be in our midst, and that you would be exalted, that you would be esteemed. We ask, Father, that you would lead us, that you would teach us, that you would instruct us in your word. We pray, Father, that as we open your word, that we would be fed, that we would be fed by you, Yahuwah. Father, that your word would be sweet in our mouths, and that it would be bitter in our bellies, that it would purge us, that it would remove everything in us that does not belong. I pray, Yahuwah, that we would be made renewed by your word, that we would be strengthened by your word. Father, that our passion and our hunger for you would be rekindled, Yahuwah. And so I pray that you would barak your people, barak every household represented here today, and Yasharal, wherever scattered, wherever we may be assembled today. Pray that your baraka would be upon your people. I pray, Father, that the eyes of your people would continue to be opened. And I pray, Yahuah, that you would continue to teach us, to correct us, to instruct us, to lead us. Help us not to lean on our own understanding, but in all our ways, Yahuah, may we acknowledge you, and may you direct our path. And so we give you esteem, we give you honor, and we give you praise. Even as I come before you today, Father, I decrease and I ask, Yahuah, that you would increase, that your truth would be echoed around the world, and that your people would awake. I pray, Yahuah, that you would blow up on the dry bones in the valley. I pray, Yahuah, that you would send an earthquake. I pray, Yahuah, that the bones would begin to come together, and that substance would begin to return to your people. Hallelujah. Do this, we pray, Yahuah, in Yahusha's name. Amen. Allahu Yahuah. Before we go any further, family, I just want to blow the shofar. Hallelujah. Praises to Yahuah. Allahu Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Indeed, we give Yahuah praise, we give him honor, and we give him esteem. Praise Yahuah. Did I hear my Akut Shar?
You did.
Praise Yahuah. Shalom to you, Akut.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm requesting if I can blow my shofar as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Hallelujah.
Praise Yahuah.
Okay, praise Father. And I'm just hoping you can hear it.
Yes.
Yahuah.
Allahu Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Tuda Akut, Tuda Rabbah. Praise Yahuah. And I'm glad you did. I love it. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Praise Father. So we give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem. Hallelujah. Praise Yahuah. Now, before we go any further, Mashpaka, Hallelujah, praise Yahuah, praise Yahuah, praise Yahuah, praise Yahuah, praise Yahuah. You know, it doesn't matter what battle you're in. I remember going back to the book of Shaphatim, the book of Judges, when Yasharal encountered the enemy. And what Yahuah told them to do was he told them to make jars of clay. He told them to make jars of clay. He told them to grab the shofar, to make jars of clay, and to put in the jars of clay a candle. And they were to light the candle in the jars of clay. And then, at the appointed time, they were to march against the enemy. And when they got to the enemy's camp, they were to sound the shofar, and they were to smash the jars of clay and watch what Yahuah does. And those instructions were quite symbolic and quite prophetic. A shofar, an instrument of praise, an instrument of victory, an instrument of confusion for the enemy. The instrument, the shofar, the scripture shows us that it confuses the enemy. It confuses the enemy. while giving praise and esteem to Yahuah. You see, praise to Yahuah confuses the enemy. Praise to Yahuah confuses the enemy, because he's confused when he see you praising, when he is expecting for you to lose your mind. I mean, he's hit you with so much that you should be losing your mind and not praising, but instead you praise, and that praise confuses the enemy. So they would sound the shofar, and they would break the jars of clay, and the light, the candle that's lit inside the jar of clay would then give light to their surrounding. And that's a prophetic. It's prophetic of the fact that the day would come when Yahuah in his Ruach, Yahuah in Ruach would dwell in his people. You see, we are the jars of clay, and now we have him, Yahuah, the light, dwelling in us. You see. And you see, when that light is exposed, it confuses the enemy. So when they broke the jars of clay and they sounded the shofar, there was confusion in the camp of the enemy. And they turned their swords against one another, and they destroyed one another. And I believe that the lesson in that is, number one, we should always take our praise with us. And number two, we should feed Yahuah in us. We should feed the Ruach so that his light can be seen in and through us. His light draw his people. Yahuah in us draw his people to him, and it confuses the enemy. You see, it confuses the enemy. And Yasharal did not have to lift a finger, indeed. You see, and so we just give Yahuah praise to the Akut for sounding the shofar. Just listening to that blast come through the speakers does something to me. And so we give Yahuah praise. Halallahu Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Halallahu Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. All right. So, family, I'm going to open up the mic to any comments or praise report that you would like to share before I go any further. And so if anyone would like to come to the mic, please raise your flag. Yes, go ahead, Aki.
I would like to give a praise report just to praise Yahuah. And because we don't praise Yahuah enough, so I just want to give this opportunity to give Yahuah praise.
Praise Yahuah.
And I just say Halahu Yahuah for all he's done, and esteem his set apart name in this moment and in this time of in this wicked place, in this captivity. I just want to give praise to him, and even through the midst of our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, that Yahuah lift up a standard to the enemy for the ones that for the families. And if there's any of our brothers and sisters that lost their lives, then I just give praise to Yahuah and lift up his name in this time. And I just say Halahu Yahuah for what he's done.
Halahu Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Join you in echoing that, Aki. Praise Father. I see your flag there, Aki. Yeah, Derek, please go ahead.
Can I be heard?
Yes, you can, Aki. Nice and clear.
Shabbat Shalom, Mashpakah. Once again, I'd like to encourage each and every one of you individually, collectively. I think that we are in a time right now where we're seeing many of the judgments that came on Egypt come to pass all around us, all over the world. And I've said it a few times tonight, and I'll say it again: fear not. We are literally commanded to fear not, to not be afraid. And I want to encourage everyone, each and every one of you, that no matter where you are, no matter what situation you're going through, and no matter what's trying to come against you, because it's been echoed in various voices and in various statements on the chat tonight, that we fear not, that we persevere and endure in a better hope, because we are getting ready to see this world go through severe changes, where it is not going to be the same. And it has been on me. It has literally been on me the last 2 or 3 years that something big is coming down the pipe. Something big is coming down the pipe. And so, family, fear not, endure, persevere, because the hope that we have is a better hope. It's a better hope. And just think about those 2 words, better hope.
Yes.
And plant those inside of you, and look forward. Look forward to the day that we can stand in the kingdom and all praise Yahuah together.
Yes.
I release the mic.
Praise Yahuah. Allahu Yahuah. You know, family, I see Aki Keith's flag. I'm going to come right to you, Aki. I'm not going to say a whole lot before I release the flag, because I want as many of you to come to the mic as possible. But I just want to echo something that Aki just said. You know what? I've observed over the past 5 years, something amazing has been happening. We talk about the awakening, but have you stopped and reflect to see what has been taking place over the last 5 years? Maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Amazing things have been happening. And you see, when Yahuah begin to move, then things really do happen. Things really do happen. And it might start out slow, you see, but it's like it's like a locomotive on a track that picks up steam as it goes, you see. And so things are going to happen. Things are happening, and things will happen, you see. And when Yahuah begin to act, when Yahuah begin to move, Yahuah, great things happen for his people, and great things happen to the adversary of his people, you see. So when Yahuah begin to act, great things happen for his people, and great things happen to the adversaries of his people. Let me go to Aki Keith. Please go ahead, Aki. I see your flag.
Shabbat Shalom, Aki.
Shabbat Shalom to you, my Aki. Great to hear you.
Always great to hear you as well.
Praise Yahuah.
Okay, I just want to make a statement, and I'm pretty sure this is something that a lot of us know about, but it may be someone that's new, that's coming on and may hear it from the very first time, and they really don't understand it. And that is, all these things are happening because of one thing. And we understand it's prophecy. And prophecy is going to be fulfilled whether we like it or not, no matter what we got to go through. And so by Yahuwah's open our eyes, we understand there's going to be things that we're going to go through that we're not going to like. But we understand why these things have happened, because our forefathers disobeyed Yahuwah. So we are paying the price for it. I understand we here in United Snakes of America, and they're doing what they're doing to us. But I also understand that some of the people that are being killed with black skin, that don't mean that they were part of the house.
That's
they may
right.
be killed because of association of the house.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, I think what we should do is understand why these things are happening, because we can protest 24 hours a day. It's not going to change anything, because what Yahuwah has set forth, it's going to happen. And the main thing that I see, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people see, is that why these things happening? Because he wants us to turn back to him. That's why a lot of people are awakening, because it's getting closer and closer. And so that's all I want to say.
Yes.
Thank you.
Praise
Goodbye.
Yahuwah. Praise Father. Praise Yahuwah, Aki. Praise Yahuwah. You know, I agree wholeheartedly, and at the same time too, I'll say this, that I believe that in protest there is purpose also. In protest there is purpose. So protest is not going to change the wicked, and it's not going to change the heart of the wicked. It might cause him to figure out a different way to carry out his wickedness, but he is still going to be wicked. But what protest does, protest is a light that shines on the wickedness of the wicked. It magnifies the wickedness of the wicked. So where there is protest, the wicked is exposed. We're going to see that in the book of Mashaly as we go into chapter 10 here today. When you make noise about what the wicked does, you are exposing the wicked. But the thing that happens when you expose the wicked is that as the noise is being made, some sleeping people wake up. As the noise is being made, some sleeping people wake up. You see. So if it wasn't for the noise, some people wouldn't wake up. If it wasn't for the noise, and if it's not for the ongoing noise, some people would still be under the deception that there is nothing wrong in America and around the world. If it wasn't for the noise, some people would continue to believe that there is an American dream when all there is an American nightmare for some people. You see, if it wasn't for the noise, so the noise has its purpose also. You see, so
Aki.
Yes, go ahead, Aki.
I'm not saying. Okay, just let me just add this.
Yes.
I understand that we should cry out to Yahuah for
right.
what's being done. So I want to make sure
Right.
that I say that
Right.
because I don't think that we should sit back and say, "Oh well, okay, Yahuah is doing it," and carry on like nothing's happening.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yes,
we
indeed.
should cry out to Yahuah, and we do understand why things are happening.
Indeed.
Right.
Absolutely so, Aki. Absolutely. So, sometimes noise has to be made because a part of that is, and listen, even some of the noisemakers making noise, ain't nothing going to change for them. A lot of the noisemakers aren't even people of Yahuah, you see. But all things work together for the good of them who love Yahuah and are the called according to his purpose, you see. And so, it ultimately in the end, it's going to benefit the elect of Yahuah, you see. And oftentimes Yahuah uses the enemy. Well, all the time he does. When we find ourselves in a place of disobedience, what Yahuah does to bring us back in line is he uses the enemy and the schemes of the enemy and the actions of the enemy to bring his people back in line. And that goes across many lines, you see. Right. So, okay, let's, anyone else before we move any further? Anyone else before we go any further?
Shabbat Shalom, Mr. Kai.
Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut.
This is Kalia and Shema.
Oh, great to hear you.
All praises to Yahuah, Yahusha, his elect one.
Yahuah.
We just wanted to share some words of encouragement, and as far as the examples that Yahuah gave us in Scripture,
yes,
we know that we are coming upon the end of our captivity.
yes,
and just as they went through an exodus from first Egypt,
yes,
we will also be experiencing that as well.
yes,
But one thing, I always remember in reading the scripture is that Yahuah always states, remember.
yes,
Remember what I did.
yes,
Remember how I fought on your behalf,
yes,
And even with Yahshua going into battle or going in to conquer the land, it was always, don't you know who we are?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you know who our Elohim is?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you know how he fights on our behalf? Haven't you heard what he's done for us? And the people in the land knew about him.
Mm-hmm.
They knew of his fame,
Yes.
Yes.
And
And so in our going through in the Exodus, because remember, when he brought the plagues and stuff upon the land, he didn't take them out of the land first.
that's right.
He kept them while they were in the land and the plagues were going forth. He shielded them from them.
Yes, indeed.
So we have to keep that in mind as well. And when we see these things coming upon us, our faith and trust and confidence is in knowing he is no respecter of persons. He is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. And he loves us just as much as he loves them then.
Yes,
and that he will also fight on our behalf, so that we don't allow fear to overtake us. Because it is going to be some horrific things that we're going to witness in this time period. He said this will be a time that's far beyond anything man has ever seen.
Yes.
Coming upon the earth, But the just shall live by faith.
Hello.
And that's why he say, truly this shall be the trying of the saints' faith. Mashiach said, when I return, will I find faith? So be encouraged, Yasharal. God's got our back.
Yes, indeed. Yes, he does. Halal Yahuah. Yes, indeed, he does. And when Yahuah get ready to, as Yahuah does his work, the people of Yasharal, if we remember and we get excited, you see, because while the adversary is now in fear and not knowing what comes next, we rejoice, you see, because we know that our redemption do draw nigh. Hallelujah. And so, like our Akud said, remember. Hallelujah. There was there anyone else? There was something came to mind as Akud Kalia was speaking, and it slipped me. But is there anyone else before I move on?
Aki?
Yes, go ahead, Aki.
I'm just going to be a brief. It's just interesting because something happened to me last night, and it was very interesting what happened. I was here in the shop and was leaving, and one of my coworkers left out the door before I did. And as I was sweeping up my spot, and I was looking out the door, just to make sure, because a lot of times we kind of it's dark in this area, and it's kind of we're on the east side of the area, and it's kind of really a little tough over here. So what we do is kind of when it's dark, we kind of watch each other's back. So I kind of looking at his back while he's walking out the door, and I seen a woman come to him, and she was a Caucasian woman, and when they in this spot, when they in this area, they tried to it just everybody, oh, what they doing over here? They don't need to be over here, and they normally they would always say, oh, they over here for drugs or something like that. You know how that goes. So what we was doing, I was kind of looking, and I said, okay, and she started talking to him, I guess, and apparently she must have asked him for something, and he pointed, and I could hear out the door. He said, oh no, you need to talk to him. And I'm thinking, okay, why did he send her to me? So as she came to the door, she knocked on the door, and as I was walking out the door, and I said, yes, can I help you? And she said, yeah. And she started to tell me the story about, I believe she was going through something, and she was saying what was going on with her. And I know sometimes it's hard to believe a person because of a lot of we supposed to help when in need, and it don't matter. I know we are to help our brothers, but Yahuah said to be kind to all men. So in this point, I was thinking, is she pulling my leg? Is she trying to scare me in this situation? Okay, but I really don't know her, so I can't really say if she's going to do it or not. So I kind of looked, and I said, okay, and I listened. And as I was listening, my heart was turning. And it's like, okay, what does she want? And she was like, well, I'm going through this. And said, I've never been through this before. And I thought about that. And I said, oh, okay. And she looked like a type of woman that she didn't really look like she was on drugs. She looked like she was just basically freaking out, and she didn't know what to do. So she was kind of walking. And it's like, oh, I was put out. She was giving me the story. So I listened. And as she got done, he said, can you, can you help me with something? And when she said with something, I kind of just figured, okay, in my heart, I give her what I can give her. So I just gave her some money to try to. I said, the only thing I can do for you is I can give you this much. And she turned and she gave me a hug, and she said, I don't know what to do. Then I said, well, that's best I can do. I can't, I can't help you no more. Then she's like, okay, thank you. And then she walked away. And I said, was that a test of Yahuah testing me? And a lot of times we could be tested. But I said, he sent him to me. And I know this guy, he gives too, like me. He got a heart that he gives in a sense. But I was just saying, okay. I said, it's more to it than I think. And I said, I'm just going to go at it as this. And I said, as my heart turns to help someone in need, and no matter what color they are, because as I walked in the door, the other brother that was cleaning up was like, why didn't she go to the white people? And I was like, well, I don't know, but she came here. So that's it's experience that I learned in that, and I just take it as you were testing it. And a lot of times, even in this captivity, as we are going through this, it's going to be a lot of that happening. And I believe even in the point where I believe, and it reminds me when the Akut was just talking about the Exodus experience in Shemut, when they Yahuah was showing the ones that were the plague was going on and things was happening, and the other nations came. One of them came to Yasha'al people and said, "We know that Yahuah is real. We know that your Elohim is real, and can you take us with you?" And that's just it's one of the experiences I think that's going to be happening a lot more with us. That we're going to be what you call we are marked by Yahuah. So it's going to be the brothers that really ain't believing, and it's not, like you said, the light. We are that clay, that light is shining for some reason, and he sent him to me. And I'm thinking, why did you send him to me? You can do something, But I'm just looking, and maybe that could be the case. Yahuah is testing the ones that are turning back to him and saying, okay, you are going to be the people who are going to start to do that. They're going to start, all the other nations are going to start to turn to you. Because you are believing in Yahuah and you're walking, because we're going to be shown to know it. Because in the shop, a lot of the brothers know that. Some of the brothers are confused and say, hey man, you're a Christian, you went to church, and I let them speak. And I said, I'm not there no more. I'm in truth now. And then I explained to them what happened and why I'm in. And some of the brothers are starting to know that and know that I'm not there. So I just wanted to stay humble and then just allowing Yahuah to continue guiding me and recognizing when Yahuah is testing me. So I won't be a fool, because there's going to be a lot of us trying to be fooled as well. So I just want to give Yahuah praise on that, to try to recognize that. And I just wanted to make that statement there. And I said, I'm releasing the mic.
Praise Yahuah, praise Father, and for sharing Key. I believe that the text that we're getting ready to get into is going to speak about that. So I'm not going to say anything more right now until we get to the text. But let me go back to Aki Derek. Yes, Aki.
I wanted to make this comment, and it wasn't based upon what was just said, but for a few weeks I had made some comments that I had been battling with the spirit of racism, and I believe that over the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've come into a solution, and I wanted to share this with the Mashpaka for your own meditation, because a lot of us who are coming into the truth and waking up still have that seed of racism buried down within us. And it's a seed that's aimed at people and shouldn't be. We should recognize when we start speaking, we have to be very careful to separate our aim from people to a system.
Yes.
We have to attack a system and not people, because we have among our own people agents of that system. And if we start attacking people individually by skin color, by ethnicity, we will find ourselves in error. Attack the system, because in the system are the hypocrisies. The people are only agents of that hypocrisy. Remember, we don't fight against flesh and blood. Our battle is not against flesh and blood. So we have got to understand. We have got to understand that when we start speaking about the wickedness in this system, it is because of this system. It is definitely because of this system. And the people who are the agents of that system come in all ethnicities, come in all skin colors. Just like the people who will come into the kingdom will be of all ethnicities, will be of all skin colors. We have got to be very, very careful about aiming our discontent and our outcry at people, because those people could also be agents that Yahuah has set in place to teach us something. And if we feed and water that seed of racism that's in us, it will grow. It will definitely grow, and it will overshadow those good things, and it will bear fruit that we don't want to be born. So I urge everyone to be very, very careful, very, very careful when we start speaking about the injustice and the hardship and the horror that's come against our people, that we don't aim that at other people, but that we aim it at a system that has been created. And whether that system is white supremacy, whether that system is inequality, whether that system is injustice, we need to recognize the system and not be angry at people, because racism itself is going to be used as a tool, and we see it. We see it. Racism is used as a tool to stir up malcontent and confusion. And people get mad at other people and attack indiscriminately. So you'll find when you take the race issue out of your arguments and stand just upon aiming at the system, many people won't be able to argue with you. Many people will not be able to go against your word when you say, well, what's the difference between an unarmed black man being shot and an unarmed white man being shot? Let's concentrate on the fact that this injustice is carried out by police officers. Whether they be Spanish, whether they be white, whether they be black, it's still carried out by police officers. The system is what we need to take aim at. The system is where our outcry needs to be aimed at, and especially when we're crying out to Yahuah, because this system is what we are under. This system is what we are all under, and walking under Yahuah's protection protects us, gives us protection from this system, but not those people who are not under Yahuah's protection. We have to be careful. Please be careful and meditate upon this to see if you can find the logic in it, because I don't want to be coming from a point where I'm speaking as someone in a better position or anything like that. I just want to say that this was something that's been revealed to me over the last few weeks, because I have been dealing with racism hard and heavy. And so, like I said, I want us to be able to make the difference between aiming at a system instead of aiming at agents of the system. I'm releasing the mic now.
To the Aki, I'd like to say a little bit more about that, and I agree with you, but I believe that there is there's more to it, because in gaining healing, because the fact of the matter is that whether we realize it or not, we are a damaged people. And when you have been damaged, the damage, in order for damage to heal, then you have to really unpack the whole thing and deal with every facet of what it is that has hurt you, that has damaged you. I believe wholeheartedly and strongly that it is wrong for any person to prejudge any individual, to ostracize, or to what's the word I'm looking for? To put people into a certain category without having had the opportunity to know that person, to know that individual. And so I believe in that strongly. Now, when we talk about a system, it is also important to understand that systems are created by people and supported by people for people. It might not be for everybody, for every people, but systems are instituted by people. They're created by people, instituted by people, and supported by people, you see, for the benefit of certain people. That's a real reality. It's unfortunate that when it comes to race relations, in many places of the world, it's not limited to America. You can go to South Africa, you can go to Zimbabwe, you can go to places in Europe, you can go all over this world, and what you will find is that when it comes to dealing with the things that affect people based on race, that there is an unwillingness. Go ahead, take it, pour him some juice for me. There is an unwillingness to really unpack the issue and to deal with the situations, you see. And this is necessary to do, but there's an unwillingness to do it. Let me give you an example before I go any further. I heard a movie critic. I heard a movie critic last night critiquing the movie Birth of a Nation. Now, I've not seen the movie, but I know that the movie Birth of a Nation, it's about Nat Turner. And so this movie critic, that was a white man, he was critiquing the movie. And you know what he called it? He called it a brainless, he called it a movie about brainless, stupid revenge. Something like that he called it. Brainless, stupid revenge. Now here's what's interesting. When whites respond to what they deem as injustice, listen, hear me out now. When the system respond to what they call injustice, it is never classified as revenge. What is it classified as? When the system respond to what they perceive as injustice, it is never classified as revenge. No, not rebellion. Now listen to the question there again. When the system respond to what they deem as revenge, what do they call their response? So in other words, let's say Al Qaeda. Wait, let me clarify the question. Let's say Al Qaeda. Okay, let's go with the September 11th narrative, right? Now, September 11th isn't what they tell us September 11 is, but I'm just going to go with their lie for a minute. Okay? So let's say Al Qaeda bombed the World Trade Centers, right? Or whoever you call them. Let's say some terrorists bombed the World Trade Center, right? When the system go after those terrorists, and by the way, they're not only going after the terrorists, because when they go over to those countries, they're bombing everybody. They're bombing babies, they're bombing teenagers, they're bombing mothers, they're bombing fathers, they're bombing everybody. Okay? But when they go after the so-called terrorists now, when they go after the terrorists, what do they call that? Do they call it revenge, or what do they call it? Really, they actually call it justice. They say that justice must be served. They say justice must be served. They call it justice, right? So when somebody do something to them and they retaliate, they respond, is it not true that they do not call it a brainless, stupid revenge, but they call it justice? They do not call it a brainless, stupid revenge. They call it justice. Is that right? That's what I see every time. They call it justice. They do not call it a brainless, stupid revenge. They call it justice. Okay? They call it justice. So the question is, why is it that when other people who have been wronged by the system and they respond, why is it that not only the system but the people who live in the system is quick to call the person who responded to being dealt with unjustly? Why is it that the system and the people in the system are quick to call the people who were dealt with unjustly, they're quick to call them, to call it revenge, terrorism, and any and everything else except justice? Why is that? It's because it's an unfair system. It's because it's an unfair system. So this is what I've found. This is what I've found. Yeah. And they call it reverse racism. They call it all kinds of stuff. Okay? But what I find is, if I can sum it all up, I call it hypocrisy. You see? I was at work yesterday, and this white man that I work with, he said to me that Israel made this concoction that they used to spray the Palestinians with. It's not harmful. It's this liquid that it smells like a cross between a skunk and something else. And when they spray the people with it, it takes days for the scent to come off of them. So he was telling me about this thing that Israel developed to spray the Palestinians with, to disperse them when they come to, demonstrate or whatever. But he didn't stop there. He said they need to buy some of that and bring it here to America, and we'll see how many people will protest. Okay? See how many people are going to protest. So basically, what he is saying is that there is no need for protest. That these people out in the street who protest, they have no reason to be protesting. But we have got to ask ourselves, is that true? Are people out in the street making noise just because they want to be out in the street making noise? Is that true? No, that's not true. You see? If you were being mistreated, wouldn't you want to make sure that your voice can be heard? Okay, some people will hypocritically say, no, it don't matter. But all you got to do is try it out in a conversation between you and another individual. If you and somebody else get into some kind of misunderstanding, don't you desperately want the opportunity for your voice to be heard in the conversation? And if your voice is not heard in the conversation, don't you feel that you have been done wrong? And don't you feel hurt? And don't you feel mistreated? And could it not even lead to bigger problems between you and the individual if you don't have a chance to voice your opinion? Could it not lead even to violence because you are being silenced? You're being oppressed in the conversation? That happens all the time. It's the same thing that happens on a bigger level, you see. So what I find looking here in the American society, yes, racism is a system, but what I also find is that in order for the system to function, it does have the support of the people. It does have the support of the people. So there are many people in this country and around the world who agree with the system. Okay, so we talk about the flag. I wrote a letter to give to my son because you know why? When he goes to school, he has 2 white teachers. And they told him that if he doesn't stand for the national anthem, he's going to be losing points. Okay? He's going to be losing points if he doesn't stand for the national anthem and the flag and salute the flag. He's going to lose points. Now, these are 2 white women that to them the flag is a thing of pride. But to any black person who knows the history of the national anthem and the history surrounding the flag, to any black person who knows it is not a symbol of pride, it is a symbol of oppression. But you're going to tell the children of the oppressed that you either stand and salute the flag and sing the national anthem, or I'm going to fine you. Is that not an individual agreeing with the system? So it's not just about the system. You have individuals who are just as guilty, who will give their life fighting for the unjust system. You see, they will give their lives fighting for the unjust system. They praise the system. How is it that a racist like Donald Trump is so popular? Because you have millions of racist people like him supporting him. Because they desire for the system. They don't think that the system is racist enough. You see? They don't think that the system is biased enough. And Donald Trump promised to make the system more biased, more racist. And that's who they want. So the fact is that there are individuals who are just as guilty as the system, because the system is built by individuals, supported by individuals. It has to be in order for it to function. But we have a responsibility, family. And our responsibility is to recognize that not all people think the same. And the color of a person's skin by itself don't make them evil. Don't make them racist. Don't make them hateful. You see. And so what we've got to do is we've got to judge people by the content of their character. And when we judge them, we don't excuse evil, and we don't pin evil on people, you see. But we take it for what it is, you see. But we have to guard ourselves against hatred. But while we guard ourselves against hatred, we can't be in denial that we live among hateful people also. And that's not limited to America. That's around the world. The truth of the matter is, the fact of the matter is that you have black people that are wicked and vile. You have white people that are wicked and vile. You have all kinds of people that are wicked and vile. You see? You have all kinds of people that are wicked and vile. But to me, one of the stupidest kind of hatred, one of the most stupid kind of violence and hatred is where any individual, black, white, or whatever, would hate another person and do harm to another person because of the color of their skin. That tells me that that individual, whether that individual be black, white, or whatever, that individual is mentally incapacitated to process and to think properly. That means, what I'm saying is, a racist person is severely mentally retarded. Okay? If you would hate somebody just for the color of their skin, you are two things. You are severely mentally retarded, and you are severely, you are deeply wicked. Severely mentally retarded and deeply wicked. You see. So, as a people, we have a responsibility to shed a light on the wickedness, on the injustice, and even to hold individuals accountable for their wicked acts. You see? But while we do that, so we recognize that racism is systematic, but it's not just a system thing. You have individuals involved in the working of the system, in building the system, in operating the system, and in making sure that the system stays in place. It's individuals who make sure that the system stays in place. The system don't just work itself and stay in place by itself. It stays in place because there are individuals with an interest in making sure that it stays in place. You see. So there are individuals involved also. You see. And we've got to address that. We've got to face that. We've got to deal with that. But while we deal with it, we got to guard our hearts. Yeah, we deal with the wickedness. We deal with the injustice. But we make sure we don't become like them. And listen, to demand justice does not mean that you have become like them. So I go back now to Nat Turner and that white man, that white movie critic that called it a mindless, he called it a mindless, stupid revenge trilogy or something, he called it. Now you ask me about Nat Turner. You ask most white people, not all. You ask most white people or many white people. Many white people will tell you that Nat Turner was a terrorist and that Nat Turner was wicked and that Nat Turner was this and Nat Turner was that and that what Nat Turner did was wrong. But they find nothing wrong with what led up to Nat Turner doing what he did. They find nothing wrong with the white slave masters raping and killing the slaves as they saw fit. They see nothing wrong with that. But what the slave did after he couldn't take no more, that is terrorist. And that is wicked. That is brainless. That is mindless. That is stupid. But what the slave master did to the slave, they don't even talk about it. So, what they're saying without saying it is that what the slave master did was right. You see, absolutely. Now, Turner was a wounded lion backed into a corner. Okay? But what, in their minds, what the slave master did was right. What he did was just wrong. But if they did what he did, if they were in the same position and did what he did, it wouldn't be wrong. It would be justice. It would be called justice. So, you know, that's what I keep in mind. And when I talk about these issues, my sincere hope, truly my sincere hope, is that people, Caucasian and others, and even my own people who hear me talk, do not confuse what I'm saying. Don't think that I hate white people. You see? That I'm a racist, because I really am not. I will put my life on the line for a white person as much as I would a white stranger, as much as I'd put my life on the line for a black stranger. But what I believe is, I believe in true justice. 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 And if a white person do something that's wicked, it should be called wicked, and it should be treated as wicked. Just as if a black person do something that's wicked, it should be called wicked, and it should be treated as wicked. I don't believe in the hypocrisy. I don't praise the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy make me angry. You see, the hypocrisy make me sick. The hypocrisy make me nauseated. And I see a whole lot of hypocrisy. Because I see too many. Listen, I'm having a conversation. I'm sorry. Let me say one more thing real quick. I'm having a conversation with another white man at the job. And he's talking about terrorists and stuff. And I say to him, you know, yeah, you see one thing in the news media, but things aren't always as simple as the media make it to seem. Okay? Because who we might call a terrorist may actually be a hero to their people. And so I said to him, have you considered what corporations like Shell, the oil people, and you can name any one of these oil companies. Have you considered the kind of evil that they have done to people in other countries? Have you considered how they have wrecked their lives, how they go over there and they pollute their lands and they give them absolutely nothing? They rape their lands. Halliburton and all of them, they rape their lands and they leave them with all kinds of cancers and sickness and disease that you don't even see on the news because they're poor black people. Have you considered what they have done to these people? Why it is that these people are responding the way they're responding? But what the news people do on TV? The only thing you see them put on TV, they make it seem as if it's a religious war in many of these cases, and it's not a religious war. These people are frustrated because they've been They've been trampled, raped, done all kinds of wrong to. Now their children are dying from the actions of these corporations, and they're crying out for somebody to listen, and the only thing we do in return is to put up a false report on the TV to have the whole world thinking that these are some religious fanatics who is just so in love with some idol, and they just want to convert the world, and if you don't convert, we're going to kill you. And that's not the story. That's not the truth. But guess what? It doesn't matter that that's not the truth. Because you have enough hateful and racist people in this country, like this man I was talking to. So he said, what he said to me when I asked him that, he said, hey, if it keeps gas cheaper in America, then I'm all for it. That's what that white man said to me. He said, if it keeps the price of gas low in America, I'm all for it. One of the things Donald Trump said earlier on in his campaign, he said that he's going to invade Iraq and he's going to take the oil, he's going to sell it, and he's going to give all of the money to the veterans. And people applaud him. And I'm thinking, how wicked is that? How wicked is it? How would you feel if I walk into your house, smack you around, take your stuff, sell it, and then give it to whoever, give the money to whoever I feel like giving it to, and don't give you any? But people applaud that. And they say Donald Trump is strong. Donald Trump is going to make America great again. Donald Trump ain't strong. Donald Trump, he's strong because the wicked is strong. But he's a strong, wicked fool. That's what he is. You see? He's a strong, wicked fool with a whole lot of strong, wicked people supporting him. People, individuals, you see. And so we can't lose sight of that. There are individuals in this country and around the world that is simply, the system is simply a picture of them. Okay? They support the system, they build the system. They elect people that they know are going to uphold the system. You see? And so it's really, they're agents of the system. You see? But they're also individuals. So the fact of the matter is, it's not just a system that fight against us. There are individuals who fight against us also, and they're very real. They're very real. Full of hatred. I had an encounter, I ain't even going to get into too deep. I'm talking, I could go on and on. But I had an encounter with a white man that came to the job to service the water fountain in my office. And I said to him, I was asking him because our work order was put in to change the water fountain back in the summertime, at the beginning of the summer, because the water wasn't getting too cool. So he was there to service the water fountain. So I asked him if he was aware of a work order to replace the water fountain because it's not getting really cool. Okay? Number one, when he walked in the office, never introduced himself or anything. He just had this twisted look on his face, this white man. And then, and so I was the first one to speak to him. And so I'm asking him now about the fountain, and he's talking with me with his nose turned up, as looking down on me. So then he began to explain to me how the water fountain works. It's really simple. You got an on switch, an off switch. You have a green light, a red light. I know how a water fountain works, but he's going into these detail, explaining to me like he's talking to a little baby about how the water fountain works. So I let him talk. And I said, well, after he got done talking, make himself feel good, I said, well, sir, I do have a water fountain in my home, and so I'm very aware of how they work. And for that reason, I know that this one doesn't work the way it should. As a matter of fact, if you step outside my office, go to the driver's lounge next door, then you will see that the water there is much cooler than the water in here. But I see that you can't help me, so I'll reach out to somebody else who can. But his hatred and his racism was his racist ways was very evident. It was evident when he walked in the room, but it was more evident when he began to respond to me asking him a simple question about a work order. You see? So I can tell you based on my experience that there are very racist individuals right here in this country. And I encounter them all the time. You see? But I don't just look at somebody and determine that they're a racist and that they're this and they're that. I like to go the extra mile. And even when people don't like me, if it's in my power to do something to help them, I will. Now, a hateful person, I'm not going to go out the way to help them. You see? But if it's a situation where they need help, I will help them. Even though they don't like me. That's just the way I am. You see? That's just the way I am. And they will expose themselves, absolutely. They can't help that. They can't contain it. You see? They can't contain it. You see? Now, yeah, that's right. All right. Okay. All right. We got to get started in our lesson here for today. But, you know, it is what it is. The fact of the matter is, it is what it is. You see? It is what it is. But we can't allow them to make us feel bad about, listen, family, just as anybody have a right to defend themselves, as a people and as individuals, we should have that right also. But the reality is that we don't. Because if we do, and when we do, we become terrorists, we become thugs, we become all kinds of stuff. You see? That's right. Not all Caucasians are racist. Okay? You have many Caucasians have given their lives fighting for the cause of black people. Okay? Many of them have been stigmatized by their own people. They have been called N lovers and all kinds of stuff. You see? And that's just the reality. You see? But we can't live in denial of those facts. Yep, so this man called Birth of a Nation a simple-minded, foolish revenge plot, or something like that he called it. You see? Yes, but we cannot judge indiscriminately. And unfortunately, I see people who do that, black people who do that. They want to write off the whole, a whole people, you see. And that too is very, very, very wrong. Not only wrong, but wicked. Okay? Not only wrong, but wicked. For anybody who do it, it's wrong and it's wicked. You see. Akut Al-Yashaba had asked something and I missed it. I'm trying to find it. Oh yes. That's a fact, Aki Franklin. That you have many Dominicans with Negroid blood who are very racist. Yes, indeed. And you have Spanish people who are very racist. I never thought that. Never knew that until 2 years ago. I found that out. About Spanish people and even people from Puerto Rico. I worked with some and from South America, and I was shocked to realize they were as racist as they were. I only learned that after having the opportunity to work with them. And I'm not saying that, I'm not saying all, but I was shocked because I grew up in a city where you have a lot of Spanish people and Puerto Ricans, and in the city we don't have that. Everybody we look at each other as one. But then I went and worked with these people, and I guess they live out in the suburbs somewhere, but they sure saw me as beneath them and saw black people as beneath them. And I was shocked at that. I only learned that in 2013. You see, I was shocked at that.
Some Africans that don't like care for black.
Oh yeah, you have they don't care for Africans who don't care for black Americans and so on. You know, the nonsense goes on and on. Oh yes, that's true. Some don't want to acknowledge their African ancestry. Absolutely. All right. I wanted to see Akut Al Yashba. I think I'd posted a question or something, and I'm trying to find it. I keep skipping. Akut, could you repost what it is that you had posted, Akut? Oh yes. Tuda Aki for the reminder. Tuda. Okay. Well, family, I wanted to take a moment. I wanted to take a moment to notify you of an event in my family's life, and also to say Tuda to you also for your support and for all that you do. Yes. So I'm not. Please keep this in mind now. I am not. I had already consulted with Akut Al Yashaba earlier this week, and I'm not sharing with you what I'm about to share with you for anybody to feel the need to do anything, to respond in any way at this time. Okay. My mom 2 weeks ago. My mom's husband, my stepdad, died 2 weeks ago, and you know, I'm an individual that I don't say a lot about my personal self. If you notice on Facebook, Tuda family, you'll notice on Facebook. Oh, praise Yahuah, Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut Kaz. You notice on Facebook, I didn't open a Facebook account to talk about myself. I didn't open or any social media account. I didn't open it to talk about myself. I opened them to talk about Yahuah and to reach out to the people of Yahuah. That's the only reason why I opened those accounts. So I'm not an individual where you'll go to my page and you'll see, well, what I had for dinner today, or how I'm feeling this moment or the next moment, or I don't believe in putting anything personal about myself or my family on social media, because I don't believe that the system need to know everywhere I go, or everything I eat, or every way I feel. I don't believe they need to know that, and so I don't use it in that way. Another thing too is that, you know, I process like many people, you know, because we all process things differently. But me, if I'm dealing with something, if I'm trying to solve something, if I'm trying to think through something, if I'm trying to deal with something, I like to do it inwardly, you know, reflect inwardly. Outwardly, I'm functioning, but I'm doing a lot of thinking on the inside. I'm doing a lot of evaluating on the inside. And Tada Akut. And when that happens, many times, if it's possible, I'd love to be able to kind of, if I can get time to get away to myself so I can think, then that's ideally what I do. But when you have 8 kids, you have a family and you have responsibilities, then that's not that's not so easy to do. So you got to learn to function in the midst of everything else and process what needs to be processed as you go. So family, my mom, and is my mom is very dear to me, very special to me. Um, and I'm very concerned with my mom always. And so she lost her husband, my stepfather, and 2 weeks ago. But I didn't say anything, and the reason why I didn't say anything was because I didn't want anybody to feel pressured, obligated, or any way that feel like you needed to do anything. And so I didn't say anything. And so I've been working on trying to see what I can do to help out as far as funeral expenses and things like that. And so this week what I did was realizing that we were still quite limited in to meet the need. What I did was Tuda Mashpaka. What I did was I consulted with Akut Al Yashaba. Akut Al Yashaba is our treasurer, right? Akut Al Yashaba is our treasurer for the Haykal. And I consulted with Akut Al Yashaba. I had not said anything to her either, but I told her what the situation was. And my plan was to extract $250 from the account. And so that's what I consulted with her about doing. Because when it comes to the account, I don't make any decisions on my own. I always talk with Akut Al Yashaba about it. Because I believe in accountability and transparency. And so I spoke with her, and she, explaining to her what the situation is, she insisted that $250, that's not gonna do anything. At least you need at least take $500. And so we agreed on that. And so I withdrew $500 from the account to help with funeral expenses. And so I wanted to let you know, family. I wanted to take the opportunity to say Toda Rabbah to you all for your continued support that makes it possible for things like that to happen. Because truly, because of you, Yahuah has used you to baruch that account, where it has been an ongoing baraka to our family when needs arise. It has been a continued baraka, and I just want to say Toda Rabbah to you for your selflessness in giving. And so I only bring it up because I hesitated to bring it to you, because I don't want anybody feeling compelled or pressured in any way whatsoever. I don't want you feeling or thinking that I have an expectation for you to do anything in that regards. But because I took those funds to use in that regard, I felt it necessary to come and to say again, to express my gratitude. And when I express that gratitude, I express it on behalf of the rest of the family here, and who are not here, to whom I know they're sincerely grateful, for your selflessness in that also. So I just wanted to take some time to express my gratitude, and to let you know that that's what's happening at this time. And so I just want again say to the Rabbah. Now, with that said, as we continue in the book of Mashaly, there is something I brought it up here in the room before, and I'm going to bring it up again because I truly, sincerely believe, family, I didn't choose to do what I do. I didn't choose to do what I do. I didn't choose to get on a microphone every Shabbat. Just willy-nilly chose it. I didn't just decide that I'm going to do this. I was compelled to do what I do. I was compelled to do what I do, and I am compelled to do what I do. I'm still compelled. I was compelled, and I'm being compelled to do what I do. That's why I get on here every week and open up a room where the people of Yahuah can, if they so choose, they can come and they can fellowship, and we can study Yahuwah's word together, and we can encourage one another. And we record these messages, and we put them on YouTube, and we even pay to promote them sometimes where we can, so that they can reach more people. And the reason why I do that is not because I want to be known. It's not by accident or by coincidence that I use no video, that you don't see me, you only hear my voice. Because I don't want it to be, I'm not trying to build a personality brand. You see what I'm saying? It's not about the personality. It's about the message. You see what I'm saying? So I could easily turn on my camera and you could have video. But I don't want it to be about the person, about a personality. I just want it to be about Yahuwah. Okay? And so what I do is when I come here, praise Father Akut, praise Yahuwah. When I do what I do because I'm compelled to do it. And I'm moved each week to come here and to do what I do. And the reason why I feel in my heart that Yahuwah has put it in me, and a part of my responsibility is to sound the call, is to cry out, okay, is to cry out in hopes that our people would awake, right? But even as our people awake, I believe I have another responsibility. I believe that I have a further responsibility, and that is because when you look at our brothers in the scriptures, our brothers and sisters in the scriptures, who led the people of Yashar'al, it wasn't just about giving them the word. It was also about empowering them. Okay? It was also about empowering the people. So when in situations where the nation was dysfunctional, they had to bring organization. They had to bring organization to the nation, because if there is no organization, there is no nation. So they had to bring organization. And so I sincerely believe that those who Yahuwah raises up to reach his people, we also have a responsibility to empower the people, right? And then when I talk about empower, so you empower people by his word, but also you empower people in their day-to-day lives. We should be, because we got to think as a nation. And so we need to empower our people in their day-to-day lives. And our people, if we can be honest, many of us, family, many of us are in situations where, from a financial perspective, it's not easy, right? From a financial perspective, it's not easy. You see, from a financial structural perspective, we are dysfunctional, quite dysfunctional for the most part as a people, you see. And so I believe that when Yahuwah raises up people, he also gives us vision and insight to help to change the way we think as a people. and the things we do, you see. And even in finances, in our finances, to empower our people financially, right? And so Yahuah, I've talked about this in the room in the past, and I'm going to talk about it again. But even in planning for events like this, you see, where you have loved ones who may die, you might be in a position where you don't have life insurance. What do? Right? But we can do better. We can plan better. And I believe that's one of the responsibilities that Yahuah has laid on me to guide our people, because he give me ideas, you see. And I believe that it's incumbent upon me I'm reluctant. I was reluctant to open a room. When Yahuah give me stuff, I'm reluctant. When it comes to finances, I'm reluctant. I don't want to be responsible for managing any kind of financial program. Not because I don't trust myself, not because I think that I'm going to take anything. I'm not going to take anything. I won't touch it. You see? But I don't want anybody ever thinking or assuming that I'm going to take it, or I'm this or I'm that. I never want that. And so therefore, even though Yahuah give me ideas, I feel it's best to just leave it alone. But I can't continue to just leave it alone when our people are impacted severely and significantly in this way. You see, I can't just continue to leave it alone. So I've got to share the vision that Yahuah give me, you know, as him empowering his people, you see. And so I'll be doing that because we need to make sure that our financial houses are in order. And so as time go on, and I've mentioned this before in the past, but I'm going to talk about it some more and more significantly. You know, when things like this happen, when you have a death that comes out of nowhere, it really causes you to begin to think about stuff that you may not have thought about before. You see? It causes you to think about stuff that you might have ignored before. You see? And so, 2 years ago now, I guess, we lost a son to murder. He was murdered. Okay? And it caused us to think about things like that, like we didn't think before. Okay? Now, I lost my stepdad. It caused me again, and I've never stopped thinking since my son. But I'm not just thinking about me. I'm thinking about Yashar. I'm thinking about where you are. You see, are you ready? Are you equipped? Number one, also, family, as a people, some people have this perception that, you know, you find Yahuah or Yahuah find you, and now you just spend your time. The only thing you should be concerned about with is just reading Yahuah's word every day, and that's it. And just everything is, you know, you just praise Yahuah. But the reality is that praising Yahuah is a lifestyle. Okay? It is who we are. But when we come to a knowledge of Yahuah, Yahuah also empowers people. Okay? And though we're a people in captivity, we can do better than we are doing as a people. We can do better than we are doing as a people. But you know what it's going to take? It's going to take discipline. It's going to take vision. It's going to take planning. You see. And there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. You see? There is nothing wrong with that. And it's going to take hard work. That's right. Hard work. We're going to talk about that today. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But some people would have you think that, okay, now you're serving Yahuah, you don't do nothing. Just sit back and wait for his coming. No. No. Yep. No. No, we have more to do, family. We have more to do. Okay? So we're going to talk about that as time go on. You see? We're going to talk about that. Okay? We're going to talk about finances. I'm going to talk about some things that Yahuah has put in my heart in ways to help us to do better as a people. Why is it that black people hardly, you live in your neighborhoods. In my neighborhood, we have a bunch of corner stores. They're not owned. A black person don't own not a single one of them. Why is it that we always seem to be dependent on others, but we have nothing that others depend on? You see, that don't have to be that way. When Yahuwah has awakened you, things don't have to continue to be the way they have been while you were asleep. Okay? Because you will see as we continue to study the scriptures, yes, big spenders on foolishness. That's right, Akut. Big spenders. You know, we pride ourselves on the fact that they call us consumers. But that's not a compliment. That is not a compliment. To be called a consumer, it's not a compliment. You see, they might as well call you a what they call the thing again that eat the wood. Termite. You see, it might as well call you a termite. You see, and so but that's some stuff that we're gonna be talking about as time go on, because again, I believe that I have a responsibility to call our people to think about things that we might not think about, and even to seek to empower our people in ways that will help our people. Okay, so that's some of the stuff that we're going to be discussing, family. Okay, but today is Shabbat. I'm going to get into the word, and I'm going to make a plan. What I'd like to get from you before we leave here today is some idea. I'd like to get a consensus from all of you of when may be a good time that we could open up this room, and I want to present to you certain thoughts that Yahuah has given me concerning us as a people. Whether it be if you have a business idea and you don't know how to fund it, okay, how we can work together to fund it, how we can work together to come up with ideas to benefit us as individuals and as a nation of people, as a people, you see, and how we can work together to ensure that when difficult times or unplanned events occur, that you're not in a place where you're just down and out, you see, but we can work together to make ourselves better, right? And so I want to talk about that. And so just want to get a feel from anybody who would be interested. I don't want to twist anybody's arm into doing anything, because if your arm's got to be twisted, then it's not for you. You see, you got to see the importance and the urgency of what is at hand, of what you face. So if anyone is interested, then I'll present some of the ideas that Yahuah has placed in me at a time that's convenient for everyone. Okay, all right. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. I'll be willing to, and this is not, it's not about me. It's about us. It's about, the way solutions come about. Solutions don't come from one individual. Solutions come, yes, all of that involved, but solutions come from brainstorming. Okay? Solutions come from us coming together, putting our heads together, reasoning, talking, thinking. You see what I'm saying? Raising questions about something that somebody might have. You see? And seeking answers for those questions. That's how solutions come. Okay? They don't come from one individual. You see? So it's about working together, which is something that our people lack. You see?
What did I say?
As a people, we have been very disjointed. But ain't that what the scripture says? Dry bones in the valley. But family, what happens after Yahuah begins to blow on the bones? What happens after Yahuah begins to blow on the bones? Before Yahuah called his servant and said, Son of man, can these bones live? What happened? The bones were dry. They were disconnected and disjointed. But then Yahuah said to his servant, Prophesy, son of man, speak my word over these bones. And then there was an earthquake, and there was a shaking, a rattling. And it says that bones begin to come together, bone to its bone. And then after the bones begin to come together, what happens next? Sinew and skin begin to come on the bones, right? Now, what does the sinew and skin represent? And at the time that the sinew and skin begin to come up on the bone, where was the bone at? Wasn't the bone still in the valley? Wasn't the bone still in captivity? But sinew and skin begin to come up on the bone. What does the sinew and skin represent? It represents substance, family. It means that Yahuah will begin to bring back substance to a dead people even while they are in the land of their captivity. Right. It represents life. You see, Yahuah is going to begin to bring back a life to a dead people even while they're in captivity. You see.
The other thing that sinew and skin represents is a physical appearance of the people.
You're going to begin to have an identity once again, because as dry bones, you all look the same. You look like any other bone. When you're absent, when there's no sinew and no skin, you can't be identified. But when veins begin to come back and blood begin to flow, skin and sinew come back to the bones are rejointed, then you can begin to identify whose bones it is. Then you can begin to identify the people. And I believe and I know based on the word of Yahuah that that is his will. The awakening is real, family. The awakening is real, and the awakening is deep.
Prior to that, you are what? The living dead.
The living dead. Okay? So we look forward to having that conversation. And again, by the time, at the end of this evening, I'd like to know what works best for everyone. I know we're in different time zones. Yes, indeed. We're in different time zones, but I'd certainly like for us to reason. And please, don't think. What we need to start with is a conversation. Okay? It's what we need to start with. And just so keep that in mind, okay? We'll talk about it some more. All right, we're going to prepare now to go to the book of Mashaly, Proverbs. Yes, I will. Yes. The book of Mashaly, or Proverbs, chapter 10 is where we're going today in the book of Mashaly, or the book of Proverbs. Okay? Yes. All right. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. All right.
It didn't come up.
Yeah, I didn't put the scriptures on yet. Is
I'm
this,
talking
this
about the conversation.
Oh, on Fuse? Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm about to put the scriptures on, so the conversation won't be on there. Okay, let me just go to. Yes, that's right. Akut, occupy until I come. That's right. That's what Yahuah says. Work while it is day, because the night comes when no man can work. That's right. That's the expectation of Yahuah, you see. And so we're gonna have that conversation, Mashpakan. Not just conversation. Not just conversation. You see? Not just conversation. Let me say something. Yes, we got to have strategy. You got to have organization. Here's the thing. If you look around you, there are 3 words I want you to think about. 3 words I want you to think about. Mobilization, right? Strategy, and organization. Mobilization, strategy, and organization. Mobilization, strategy, and organization. Okay? So, some people are good at mobilizing. They can start moving, or they can start a movement, right? But then they have no organization. Without organization, you get nowhere. Without organization, you can get truly nothing of lasting effect done. So, to get somewhere, to get something done, we gotta have strategy. When you have a strategy, then you're able to mobilize. But once you get moving, you've got to organize. Okay? That's bringing the whole plan together. You see people run out there and they jump in you have a whole bunch of people, they run out in the street and they march, right? You have the Million Man March from a few years back. They mobilized. But they didn't organize. And some people confuse mobilization with organization. You see, they mobilized, but they didn't organize, right? So therefore, nothing gets done. They march on Washington, and they have a big crowd, but after that, nothing happens because there's no organization, right? So mobilization is necessary for there to be organization, but you can have mobilization and no organization. Okay? And so Yahuah says, occupy till I come, do business till I come. You study any captivity of Yashar, again, where there is awakening. Take Daniel, for example. The awakened people of Yahuah, while they were in Babylon, Yahuah favored them, and they did well even in captivity. They weren't always a desperate people, even while in captivity. They weren't always a desperate people, even while in captivity. Okay? So we'll talk about that some more. Okay? We'll talk about that some more. But another thing that plague our people, maybe a couple things that plague our people, I should say, and we got to really learn what they are and determine that we're going to deal with them. We as a people, and it's understandably so, we don't trust each other because we have been trained not to trust each other. Okay? That's a big hindrance, right? When you don't trust. If you don't trust your spouse, you and your spouse will build nothing. In the same way, if you don't trust your people, can never be a nation. So, true love. You cannot say you have true love and then there is no trust, because then there's no true love. But if you have true love, then you have trust. And true love makes you accountable and responsible, not to yourself, but to your brother and your sister first. Okay? So if I truly love my brother and if I truly love my sister, I'm going to be accountable to them. Okay? If I truly love my brother and my sister, then I have their best interest at heart. And because I have their best interest at heart, I must be humble enough to hear them and to be able to feel them, right? In other words, I got to be humble enough to where we can really reason together. So we need love, we need trust, we need humility. Because we've got to be able to reason together. We've got to be able to work together. Because the nation has to be rebuilt. The nation is in disarray. And the nation has to be rebuilt. Rebuilding starts now. That's why you see in the prophecy of Yahuah chapter 37, that's why you saw that sinew and skin flesh came upon the bones while they were still in the valley. Because rebuilding started right there in the valley. The bones coming together, the nation started to be formed again right there in the valley. But it's going to take true, genuine love. It's going to take trust of each other, love for each other. And it's going to take humility. And it's going to take accountability. It's going to take transparency. Transparency, humility, accountability, love, true trust for one another. Encouragement of one another, selflessness towards one another. You see, it's going to take all of that. You see, it's going to take all of that, family. Okay, but out of it, love for Yahuah first. If you love Yahuah first, it means you fear Yahuah. And if you fear Yahuah and love Yahuah, you're accountable to Him first. And if you're accountable to Him first, then you can certainly be accountable to your brothers and sisters. All right. I'm going to go to the book of Mashaly here, Mashpaka. Mashaly chapter 10. Proverbs chapter 10 is where we're going today. And it is my hope that our study today will be a barakah to you. I'm a little bit late getting to it, but again, you know, Yahuah is in control. And may He have His way, right? May His will be done. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Yes, indeed. Akut just posted. Akut Kalia just posted from Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 13. Charity suffers long and is kind. Charity envies not. Charity vaunts not itself, is not puffed up, do not behave itself unseemly, seeks not her own, is not easily provoked, thinks no evil, rejoice not in iniquity, but rejoice in the truth, bears all things, believe all things, hope all things, endure all things. Charity never fails. But whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. And whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. Praise Yahuah. Mashaly, chapter 10. Proverbs. Proverbs of Shalomah. A wise son makes a father rejoice, but a foolish son is his mother's sorrow. A wise son makes a father rejoice, but a foolish son is his mother's sorrow. You notice that when we look in the scriptures, Yahuah, when it comes to foolish children, Yahuah always emphasized the pain that a foolish child brings to his mother. And that is because I believe that the mother is more emotionally tied, emotionally connected to her child. And so a child who goes out and does foolishness needs to know the kind of pain that it causes, that it brings to his mother. Yes, it hurts the father, but it hurts the mother even more, because the mother is so connected in such a way that the father has never been and can never be. And so though I might, as a father, I love my children, I do not believe, family, for a moment that I can love my kids in the same way that my wife loved them because of her experience. I'm sorry, I forgot to share the screen. Let me put it on the screen. Okay? You see, so no matter how I love my children, I don't believe that I have the ability to love them in the same way that my wife loved them. I don't believe that I have the ability to feel what my wife feels towards them. Yes, I love them. And if they hurt, I feel hurt, but not to the degree that my wife would feel that hurt. You see. Verse 2 says, treasures of wrongness are of no value, but Zadik, righteousness, delivers from death. Treasures of wrongness are of no value, but Zadik, justice, rightness, right living, delivers from death. Now, this is where you can have some people who misunderstand and misrepresent this. Because when it comes to Yahuwah's word, you have all kinds of people out there who manipulate his word. You have the prosperity preachers, and everything for them is about riches. And really, riches for themselves. Not riches for the people, for the nation of Yasharal, but riches for themselves. That's the false prophet. The false teacher seeks to enrich himself. Family, is Yahuwah against his people having wealth? Let's get real here for 1 second. Let's talk about this for a second. Is Yahuwah against his people having wealth? Absolutely not. Even though some people will tell you yes, but absolutely not. I see your flag, Aki Yaderic. Please go ahead, Aki. Okay. Okay. No problem, Aki. Okay, so Yahuwah is not against his people having wealth. As a matter of fact, Yahuwah says to Yasharal, it is I that gives you the power to get wealth. Okay? It is I that give you the power to get wealth. My wife and I was having a conversation this morning on the same subject. And we're reflecting on Shalomah. And some people might have the perception or might think that Yahuwah gave Shalomah wealth, that he gave him riches. No, Yahuah didn't give him riches. What did Yahuah give Shalomah? Shalomah was wealthy, but Yahuah didn't give him wealth. He gave him wisdom. He gave him wisdom. You see? He gave him wisdom. In other words, he gave him the power to gain wealth. Wisdom. If you have wisdom, wisdom combined with, it's going to take hard work and it's going to take sacrifice. But by the way, why do you want to be wealthy? That's the next question. Why do you want to be wealthy? Why would Yahuah want his people to be wealthy? It's not about the individual. It's about nation building. So if you're trying to get wealthy because of greed and self-centeredness, then you're being motivated by wrong motives. You have wrong motives. You have bad motives. You're being motivated by the flesh.
That's why Yahuah gave him wisdom when he asked. Told him he didn't know how to basically run his house.
Mm-hmm.
He said, help me do it. He gave him wisdom. And as a result, Yahuah knew it overall.
Yes.
As a result of giving him wisdom, he would obtain wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Not just a monetary wealth.
Mm-hmm. So if your motive for gaining wealth is to satisfy the flesh, let me tell you, the flesh will never be satisfied. Because it doesn't matter how much wealth a wicked person have. It doesn't matter how much wealth a fool has. The fool, the wicked, is never wealthy enough. They're always looking for the other dollar. No, it's not that they put it down anywhere. It's not that they lost it anywhere. But they're always looking for it. You see? They're always looking for it. So, your motive have got to be based upon, be guided by Yahuah's word and Yahuah's vision for his people. Your motive have got to be right. So if your motive is wrong, then you might as well forget it. But some people misrepresent and misunderstand this text. When it speaks of treasures of wrongness, they say, oh yeah, they get the perception that it's wrong to have wealth. It's wrong to gain wealth. That's not what this is saying. But there is a right way to gain wealth, and there is a wrong way to gain wealth. There is a right motive to gain wealth, and there is a wrong motive to gain wealth. So, when you treasure up for yourself, when you store up for yourself treasures, wealth, and your motive is jacked, then that is treasures of wrongness. When the way you go about it is wrong, then that is treasures of wrongness. So treasures of wrongness are of no value, but uprightness, right living, delivers from death. Verse 3, Yahuah does not let the being of the righteous go hungry. Yahuah does not let the being of his Sadiq, his upright ones. Yahuah does not let the being of his upright one go hungry. You hear that? When we turn to Yahuah in obedience, family, it is not the intent nor the will of Yahuah for us to go without. It's one thing to be walking in disobedience and to be hungry. Yes, that's going to happen. But when you're walking in obedience, it's not the will nor the intent of Yahuah for you to go without, for you to go hungry. In coming to know Yahuah, Yahuah also gives to his people wisdom. We've got to apply that wisdom. Okay? We've got to apply the wisdom. And in applying wisdom, it's going to take hard work. It don't just fall out of the sky. Yes, he give you wisdom, but you got to couple that wisdom now with work. Yahuah does not let the being of his set-apart one go hungry, but he thrusts away the desire of the wrong. So he does not let his set-apart ones go hungry, but when the wrong one comes with his desires, Yahuah just knocks him and his desire away. Knocks them out of the way. And the wrong one will find himself in despair. But if you're living according to the ways of Yahuah, do not think for a moment that Yahuah's intent is for you to continue to live starving. You know what Dawood said? And that applies even while we're in captivity. Yahuah will make a way for you even in the wilderness. Is that not what he said? That he will prepare a table for you even in the wilderness? That he will prepare a table even in the presence of your enemies? Is that what Yahuah says, family? Did he say that he would prepare a table even in the presence of your enemies? That's right. He said that he would anoint your head with oil and he would cause your cup to overflow. Your cup overflowing speaks of his provision, but the overflowing cup does not mean now that, now you have abundance, that no, you're just going to go with your greedy, selfish self and you're going to make yourself fat, and so fat that you can no longer move. While your brothers and sisters, the people of Yashar'al, are without. You see, what the wicked does, I saw something in the news maybe this week or last week, and it said that Kim Kardashian, not a woman of Yashar'al, right? So I have no expectation for her to be mindful of our people. But I couldn't help but to notice. The news report said that Kim Kardashian was robbed. She was on the road and she had $11 million worth of jewelry on her person. $11 million worth of jewelry. Can you imagine somebody walking around with $11 million worth of jewelry on their person? But here is the more ridiculous part. So here it is. You're walking around with $11 million worth of jewelry on your person. And somebody just a few miles from where you live might be starving. Or is starving. Somebody just a few miles from where you live is living underneath a cardboard box, on the street, in the cold, in the heat. Now, I didn't consider your clothing. We're only talking about her jewelry. That somebody robbed her for. And that's because of her folly, her foolishness, her foolish ways. You see, $11 million worth of jewelry. And you got people hungry and starving all over this world. People naked. $11 million worth of jewelry. And that's just what she had on her that night. So, Yahuah is not going to cause your cup to overflow. So you can be like Kim Kardashian. Or you can be like MC Hammer, who goes and buy about 30 cars, expensive cars. Or you can be some foolish person. The purpose of our wealth is not for us to get stupid. The purpose of the barakah of Yahuah on our lives is not for us to get selfish and self-centered and puffed up and pious and live in lavishness while our brothers and sisters have nothing. Yahuah didn't call you to be a capitalist. He called you to be considerate of your people. Whatever I have is not just for me. It's for my people. If you have a need, I have a need. Therefore, if you have a need and I have it, I have a responsibility to meet your need. Absolutely, Akut. Me neither. Me neither. If you have a need and I have it, I'm going to say it again. If you have a need and I have provision, I have a responsibility to meet your need. And I shouldn't have to stop and think. I should not have, if I have to stop and think and say, well, you know what? I could sure have a need today, but first let me make sure that my needs are covered for the next 30 days or the next 60 days or the next 100 days. And then after I know that my needs are covered, then I'll see what I can do for a kuchar. If that's the way you think, and if that's the way you respond to the need of your people, then you might as well keep your stuff. Because you are a coveting giver. You are a coveting giver. You might as well not give it. You see? Yes, you are an opportunist. So you're not giving out of true concern for your brother, for your sister. You're giving with motive. Anyone who gives like that gives with motive. Yeah, what's in it for me? They're giving with ulterior motive. When we see our brothers are in need, when we see our sisters in need, what should stand out first is the need and not me. Too many people like that. They got to think about them 10 times before they think about their family who is in need once. You see, that does not please Yahuah. Praise Father Akut. Praise Yahuah. You see, So, Yahuah does not let the being of the set apart one go hungry, but he thrusts away, he knocks away, he whatever the word you can use, drives away, repels the desire of the wrong. Verse 4, poor is he who works with a lazy hand. We started talking about laziness earlier. Poor is he who works with a lazy hand. You know what, family? Laziness is a transgression of Yahuwah's Torah. To be lazy is a transgression of Yahuwah's word. When you are lazy, you refuse to work, Yahuwah says you should not eat. If a man don't work, then he ought not to eat. Laziness is displeasing to Yahuwah. And yet, a whole lot of our people are guilty of laziness. It's one of the reasons why we remain in the condition that we remain as a people. Laziness. Yahuwah has a lot to say against laziness throughout his word. Laziness is a transgression of Yahuwah's Torah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Laziness. A lot of our people are plain lazy. We got to snap out of the laziness. Now, here's the thing about laziness. The flesh, this body, if you give into it, it will stay lazy because it wants to be lazy. They have a saying, and I was trying to remember it, and it just came back to me. Yahuwah brought it back to me. I was talking about it one time, and I couldn't remember it. But there was a commercial. I was unemployed. I was laid off from work. And while I was laid off, this commercial would come on all the time. And every time I saw the commercial, it scared me. But the commercial says, a body in motion stays in motion, but a body at rest stays at rest. A body in motion stays in motion, but a body at rest stays at rest. Now, if you're at rest, you don't need to stay at rest. Yahuwah never intended for you to stay resting. He gave you 6 days to labor and a day to rest. Yep, it's the law of physics. A body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays at rest. Now, if you're at rest, it's going to take some effort. It's going to take some work. It's going to take persistence to get into motion. The good thing about getting into motion is that when you're in motion, it's easier to stay in motion. Because when you're in motion, you build momentum. You see? or you should be building momentum. But when you're at rest, you can easily find yourself in a rut. You know, if you have a piece of furniture, you have carpet in your house, that piece of furniture, if that piece of let me just a sec. If you have a piece of furniture in your house and you have carpet, and if you just put that furniture in that one spot in the house, you put that furniture in one spot in the house, and you leave it there. And say you leave it there for a number of days or a number of years. Let's say you leave it there for a few years. If you leave it there just for a few days and never move it, when you go to move it, you're going to find that there's an indentation, that the furniture settled. That it's settled, right? It actually sunk into the carpet. You leave it there for a few years, and you go to push that furniture, it's going to take even more effort because it has sunken even deeper, you see. But what if when you sat that furniture in there, every other day you move it? You just slide it and then you put it back in the same spot. Because you keep moving it, it doesn't settle. And it's easier to move it. But if you just leave it there, yeah, some WD-40. You just leave it there. You're gonna have more of a time moving it. You see? And that's the nature of laziness. You can slip into laziness real easy. And you know what accompanies laziness? Or you know what drives you, what gets you into laziness? There's something that accompanies laziness, or something that gets you into laziness and keeps you into laziness. You know what it is? Starts with a P. It's the big P. Procrastination. 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 When you procrastinate, you're inviting laziness. And when you're entertaining laziness. And when you entertain laziness, family, the scripture says that your poverty will creep upon you like an armed man. That's what Yahuah says. When you entertain laziness, poverty will creep upon you like an armed man. You're about to be robbed at gunpoint, knocked upside the head, taken out. Yeah, you gotta break yourself. That's right. You become complacent, indeed. You see. So we got to make ourselves move. We got to make ourselves not procrastinate. Because, family, it's easy to procrastinate. It is easy to become a procrastinator. Anything is easier than work. But we got to make ourselves do. We got to push ourselves. And there is nothing wrong with that. You got to make yourself move. You got to make yourself do. So he says, poor is he who works with a lazy hand. So here's the other part to that. Some people work, but they work with a lazy hand. They're slouches. Yeah, so they're working, but there is no effort. There is no zeal. They're not working with vision. They're not working with a goal in mind. So they're working with a lazy hand. They're just barely doing enough to get by. But then they wonder why they are not further along. You know, family, I've been in positions, and I'm going to be real. I'm going to keep it real. Because when I look at our people, and I look at our people and I look at black people, now, listen, and this is where we talk about people and we talk about individual, and but when I look at our people, in many cases, listen, I've been in many positions. I've been in positions over many years where, okay, let me put it this way. I never graduated college. I went to college, but I didn't graduate college. And the reason why I didn't graduate college was because my family couldn't afford to keep me in college. Okay? Let me try to figure out where the sound is coming from. Bear with me just for a second. Bear with me just for a second, family. This sound, the feedback is can't find where it's coming from. Just bear with me just for a second. I might have to just let it be. Bear with me just for a second. Okay, I'll just let it be. I don't know why it's giving me that feedback, where it's coming from. Anyway, okay, let me see. Yeah, I think there's a mic open somewhere. Let me just see. Let's double check your mics for me, Mashpaka, and make sure they're muted. Okay. From my end, it's showing everything to be closed, but I don't know. Yeah, it's showing, when I look at it, it's showing their mics to be muted, so I'm not, that's interesting. Yeah, when I look at it, it's showing their mics to be muted, but obviously there's a mic open, but it's not showing me. I don't see it. Anyway, I'm going to continue. So, over the years, I've been, let me just say this again. I went to college briefly, but I never graduated college because I couldn't afford to stay there. My family couldn't afford to keep me there. I got a scholarship in Jamaica, and I stayed in college for a year, but I couldn't afford to stay there. Okay? Wanted to stay, but I couldn't afford to. And even though I wanted to stay, at the same time, the needs of my family, with the needs of my family, I couldn't focus there. So I had to stop and go get a job. I went and got a job. Okay? Now, so here's my point. So I don't have a college degree. But over the years, I've only had, in my lifetime, I've had, counting the job I had at while I was still in, when I first left school, I've had 4 jobs over the years. I've only had 4 jobs because whatever job I was in, I stayed in there a long time. Average of about 10 years per, normally around 10 years, okay? But over the years, I've had 4 jobs. Not all jobs, but for the most part, I've had 2 main jobs. The 2 main jobs I've stayed in them about 10 years apiece. And then the other 2 jobs were more short term. But anyway, I've had 4 jobs over the years. And in every job that I've had, I started out, including the job that I'm currently in every job that I've had, I've started out in the lowest position possible because I didn't have no degree to start nowhere higher. Okay? I started out in the lowest position in the job. But I've worked in every job that I've gained, I see it as an opportunity. Okay? In every job that I've gained, I see it as an opportunity. Okay, and so what I do is I work, I go to work. I go to work with the intent I go to work with the intent to advance. Okay? I go to work with the intent to advance. And I know that in order to do so, it's going to take hard work. And it's going to take learning quickly. And to learn quickly, I must pay attention. Okay? And I must take the initiative. Okay? So, in these jobs, because I work in a way that I cannot be denied, or maybe should not be denied, and with Yahuah's favor, and with diligence on my part, because Yahuah does his part, but we have to do our part also. So with Yahuah's favor and with diligence on my part, I've been favored in these jobs. And I end up in positions of leadership in these jobs. And being in positions of leadership, where now I'm responsible for even hiring people in some cases, or coordinating people, coordinating activities in other cases. What I've noticed over the years among some of our people, and I would say even many of our people, and this is just a sad fact, and many of us have a hard time with the truth. Many of us have a hard time with the facts. But the truth of the matter is, family, I was in a job, and it grieved me. It grieved me because we would hire people from agencies, right? We would hire people from labor agencies to come in and to do work, like cleaning and things like that. And so I would call the agency and they would send people in, and the guys would come in and I would tell them what needed to be done. And I make sure that I treat them respectfully. I made sure that I tried to convey to them in as much that I possibly can that they are, how should I put it? They are appreciated. They're, whatever the case is, I just try to make them, because I know that when you're working with agencies, you can encounter some people who treat you as if you're not a human being, that as if you're whatever, But I try to make sure that I convey to them, make them feel valued. But unfortunately, and in many cases, because I had the power to do this, they'd come in and they'd get the job done. And what I'd tell them is, if you can get this done in 5 hours, if you can get it done in 3 hours, you're free to go, but I'm still going to pay you for the full day. And I would do that. And there have been times when I tell guys that, and they don't do exactly what they're supposed to do. They act as if they did it, and then I let them go, and I go back to check, and it wasn't done right, and I have to finish it myself. And I've had people who told me to my face, I'm only getting paid $8 something an hour, and I ain't going to do this and I'm not going to do that. And they come in with that attitude and they actually spend the time, instead of doing any work, they spend the time hiding and things like that. Now, yes, the system is unfair, but the way that you elevate is not by living up to their expectation of you. That's not the way you overcome the hypocrisy, by doing exactly what they say that you're going to do. No. I believe that the way you cause them to put their foot in their mouth and suck on their dirty toes is by surprising them, doing the opposite of what they anticipate, doing the opposite of what they expect. But that's going to take some hard work. That's going to mean that you're going to be giving out more than you're getting in. You see? That's going to take some sacrifice. But family, in every job that I've had, that's what I've done. Sacrificed. Do more than what I'm getting paid to do. And at the end of the day, they have to take notice. And still at the end of the day, you might not get paid what somebody who don't look like you is getting paid for doing the same thing that you're doing. But one thing is certain. You're not going to always remain where you've always been. But it takes sacrifice. It takes a willingness to work double and triple what others may work to be where they are. You see. But because of this hard work and because of the favor of Yahuah, He has always elevated me to a higher place. You see. And that has been true. That's been my experience. So we have to be willing to make the sacrifice. You see? We've got to be willing to make the sacrifice. And there was one job I was in where they wouldn't give me a promotion, and you know what happened? I decided to leave because it was quite clear to me and to them that they were racist. And so a few months ago, they sent me an email. Wanted to know if I would come back. I responded to their email. I told them, thank you, but I'm quite comfortable where I am. You know what? They didn't respond to my email. But the other day I was going past, and I saw one of the owners, so I stopped. Say hello to him. And he didn't even want to bring up the fact that I turned them down because that was insulting to them. I shouldn't turn them down. But they were the ones who refused to give me a what's the name, but all of a sudden now they realize my value, you see. So even when they deny you, they cannot deny the fact that you're willing to work hard. And not just work hard, but you're committed to learning and to making yourself better. You see. And if you will do that, then let Yahuah deal with the rest of it. You just do your part. Let Yahuah deal with the rest of it. You see. But unfortunately, I find that too many of our people are not willing to do that much. Too many of our people are not willing to do that much. Our first thing is, well, I ain't getting paid for that, so I ain't doing it. And guess what? The system is already rigged against you, but if you keep up that attitude, you will always be where you are right now. You see? You got to be willing sometimes to just eat the, what's the name? While you work to overcome it. Eat the injustice while you work to overcome it. You see. All right, let me continue. Go back to the text. So poor is he who works with a lazy hand, but the hand of the hard worker makes rich. Yahuah intend for us to flourish. Yahuah intend for us to have wealth, but we got to also be willing to work hard. Okay, we got to be willing to work hard. A lot of times, people criticize. Forgive me for this phrase. A lot of times black people criticize white people. But you know what I find? I find that, well, many white people don't have a problem working hard and teaching their children how to work hard, the value of hard work. You see? And then, I don't know, and then the system being rigged in their favor just make it that much better. You see? So with Donald Trump, everybody probably heard that Donald Trump haven't paid any taxes in how many years. And then there's a report that he lost money. Right? He lost, that in his tax report said that he lost almost $1 billion. So they were explaining, I saw a report explaining that $1 billion that he lost, how he could have lost $1 billion. And so here is a rigged system, right? So they said that basically if he's building a building and the building cost $10 billion, or if the building cost $1 billion, the building cost $1 billion, he goes to the bank and he borrows $1 million, and the bank give him the other $900 million as a loan. And then, for whatever reason, there was a loss in the investment. He reports to the bank that he lost over $900 million. The bank writes it off, and then he goes and he writes it off also. And that's what happens when you have money, when you're rich. The system is rigged in your behalf. And the system never intended for you or I to get to that point, or a black person to get to that point. It never was the intent of the system. And so only few black people are at that point. But when you're up there, that's the kind of benefits and perks that you have. And so it's intended for them to benefit. You see? It's called privilege. You see? So it's a rigged system. And so they continue to get ahead. Verse 5, he who gathers in summer is a wise son. He who sleeps in harvest is a son who causes shame. So he who gathers in summer is a wise son. So family, we got to recognize the seasons. We can't be sleeping when we should be gathering. We got to prepare for the winter time. We got to prepare for the hard times. And that's in regards to everything. When we have our income, whatever income we have, when we have our finances, we got to manage it in such a way that we're prepared for the winter time, that we're prepared for the hard times. We shouldn't be letting go of everything that comes into our hand. We got to see and know the value in saving for a rainy day. You see? The value in creating an emergency spending fund. You see, the value in preparing for emergencies and the value in preparing for life, for living. we got to have a plan. We got to work toward that plan. We got to have goals, and we got to work toward those goals. These are Yahuwah's expectation for his people. You see. And so, you shouldn't be sleeping when you should be working. And you shouldn't be working when you should be sleeping. You got to know when to rest and when to work. There is a time for everything, right? He who gathers in summer is a wise son. He who sleeps in harvest is a son who causes shame. So it's harvest time, and here it is. Instead of you being out there harvesting, you're sleeping. Verse 6 says, Barakut or on the head of the righteous, the upright, but violence covers the mouth of the wrong. Barakut or on the head of the upright. The baraka of Yahuwah is on the head of the righteous, the upright, but violence covers the mouth of the wrong. The remembrance of the righteous is Baruch, but the name of the wrong ones rot. You see, family, the fact of the matter is that even when you might be hated, and even when you might be unpopular for doing right, the fact of the matter is the popular one who only does wrong will not be remembered. They will be forgotten. But the one who will do right, even when it's unpopular, will be remembered. You know, when I think about this, I like to think about the 10 spies that went into the land when Masha sent them to spy out the land. 10 of them, as a matter of fact, it was 12 of them, right? 12 of them were sent to spy out the land. But only 2 came back with a good report. The amazing thing to me is this, that while it was popular to bring back a negative report at the time, while the popular thing to do was to bring back a negative report, because 10 of them brought back a negative report. So that was the popular thing to do. 12 of them brought back a negative report. Yep, and it's all according to perspective. But 12 of them brought back a negative report. And I'm sure that they felt good among themselves. 2 of them brought back a positive report. And I'm sure that they did not feel welcome, that they did not feel celebrated. After all, it's 10 against 2. Yes, indeed, perception is relative. It's 10 against 2. But guess what? While the 10 who brought back the negative report were popular in the moment, what has happened to them since then? Do we remember their names? Does anybody remember their name? Are their names even mentioned? No. In the long run, they are forgotten. But who is remembered forever? The 2 that were looked down on. The 2 that were unpopular at the time. That's right. Yahusha, the son of Nun, and Caleb. The 2 that were unpopular at the time. They're the ones that are remembered. And so it's always unpopular to do what's right in the moment. The right one is only celebrated long after the fact. But in the moment, they're unpopular. You see? In the moment, they're unpopular. They're only celebrated after the fact. They're never celebrated in the moment. People fight against them. People badmouth them. People try to tear them down. And you know what? After they're gone, years and years later, the same people who tear them down will try to celebrate them, talk good about them, as if they were for them, or they always stood with them. When that's not the truth. The truth is they were too stupid enough to see that they were right and that what they were doing was right. And it's only years later that they finally see the fruit of their labor, and then they want to pretend as if they were always with them and that they were always for them. Absolutely. You see. A people without vision will always be cut off. Because a people without vision will always make wrong decisions. If you can't make decisions not based on your current circumstances, but looking ahead, then you will get nowhere in life. Because you will always be reactive rather than proactive. You see? You will always be reactive rather than proactive. If what you're doing is making decisions based on the moment. If you cannot look past the moment and look toward your future with vision, then you will remain stuck. You will always be behind. Again, because you will only be reactive rather than proactive. You see? You will only be reactive rather than proactive. And as long as you are reactive, then you're always playing catch up. But you will never catch up. Because by the time you're done reacting to one situation, there will be another one waiting for you. But if you are proactive, that means you're looking ahead. Then you see the light when it is yellow, and you begin to slow when you need to slow. So that by the time you get to the light, you don't have to smash on your brake and probably have somebody run into your back. And now you got to go to the body shop. Because you're looking ahead. But when you don't look ahead, you're driving and you're messing around all over, looking for something on the seat next to you. And you're driving, but here it is, you got your head way down past your leg, down there by the floor, looking for something on the floor. And then by the time you know it, you raise your head just in time to see the light turn red, and you're just about 2 feet away, and you're traveling at 40 miles per hour. Now you got to react. And you make a mess not just for yourself, but for other people on the road with you. You make a mess not just for yourself, but for other people on the road with you. The same is true for everything that we do. The way we respond to people. We can respond to people in a proactive manner rather than in a reactive manner. Because when you're responding to people reactively, then you're going to respond more negatively than you probably need to. But when you evaluate before you respond, then you can respond proactively. You can take away the weapon that they're trying to use against you. Yep. Consider consequence. Choosing your words appropriately. It applies to everything that we do. It applies to everything that we do. Choosing to act proactively rather than reactively. Seven, the remembrance of the righteous is Baruch, but the name of the wrong ones rot. Okay? 8, the wise in heart accepts commands, but one with foolish lips falls. You see, a person who cannot take instruction, a person who cannot take criticism, is a foolish person. Okay? A person who cannot take instructions, cannot receive instructions, and a person who cannot accept criticism is a foolish person. We cannot be so prideful that even when somebody critique us, even when they're being negative in their critique, even when they're trying to be injurious in their critique, we cannot be so prideful that we are unable to hear what may be a valid point. You see? We cannot be so puffed up, we cannot be so prideful that we are unable to hear what may be a valid point. We've got to be able, humble enough to be corrected. So it is a foolish person who cannot be corrected. It is a foolish person who cannot be criticized and learn from that criticism. Receive criticism. Says the wise in heart accepts commands, but one with foolish lips falls. So you have two things happening here. You have the person who can accept commands, accept instruction. And then you have the other person who talks too much, talks foolishness, don't know when to stop talking. One with foolish lips falls. You know, a lot of people who get killed because of their lips out in the street. They don't know when to stop talking, and it costs them their life. Nobody can blackmail you because they have some little secret for you. He who walks in
This conference is being recorded.
That's funny. He who walks in integrity walks safely. I think Fuse had knocked me off just for a moment there. He who walks in integrity walks safely. But he who perverts his ways is exposed. He who walks in perversion is exposed. Okay? So if we live above reproach, then nobody can hold any evidence against us. Any genuine evidence, that is. That's not to say that they will not fabricate evidence against you. I don't know how many people, for example, are familiar with, let me just use this as an example. I don't know how many people are familiar with COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO. Everybody here probably is. COINTELPRO. Okay? All right, everybody familiar with COINTELPRO? Yeah. COINTELPRO is a government program, and it's still being used today. Don't think that was only used in the 60s. COINTELPRO is still in effect today, just maybe under a different name, but it's still in effect today. Well, what COINTELPRO is, it's a government program. It's a government hit list. That's a program developed by the government where they add names of people that they see as a threat to a hit list. But it's not just a hit list. What the program does is they have different strategies that they use. And so for example, they put out lies in the news media about individuals or organizations. Propaganda. They create lies and feed it to the news media about individuals and organizations to try to affect the way people see these individuals or these organizations. They put out propaganda about them. Okay? And if the propaganda is not working well enough, then they kill them. Okay? They create lies and propaganda. You can look it up. Okay? As a matter of fact, some news organizations sued the government. What happened in America is that there is something called what is it called again? What happened is after 40 years, the government, if they don't release certain classified information, they can be sued, and that information must be released. Now, some information they release, they still redact it. In other words, they block out a lot of it. Now, 40 years, I think, is what it is now. They redact it, they block out a lot of it, so you still can't see a whole lot of it. But you can sue, and they have to release the information. Okay? So, organizations that sued to release documents on COINTELPRO. And what it shows is people that they have on their hit list and in their program to smear them, their smear campaigns, and different things like that. You see, still in effect today. So a lot of things that you hear, for example, people saying about Black Lives Matter, the group Black Lives Matter, you know where it come from? Same kind of program, COINTELPRO, because they want to, they feel as if this organization or this individual is getting too popular, and we can't have that. So they start smear campaigns. And when the smear campaign don't work, they knock you off. Okay? That's what it is about. Very real. Very real. You can actually read documents that name Malcolm X for extinction, Martin Luther King, and different people like that. Have them on the hit list. Okay? That's a fact. So people will it's not that people won't smear you. People will smear you. And their smear campaign might work so well that it attracts a lot of believers. But what's important? What's important is for us to live above reproach. So what does it mean to live above reproach? Don't mean that they won't smear you and make you look guilty. But bottom line is, are you guilty? Are you guilty, really? Or is it just a smear campaign? If they're going to say anything about you, then let it be a smear campaign and not the truth. You see? Let it be a smear campaign and not the truth. Okay? And that's what this is saying. So, verse 8, verse 9, he who walks in integrity walks safely, but he who perverts his ways become known. All right, family, you know what? We're going to take a break. I didn't realize it was 5 o'clock already. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and finish up the rest of this chapter. And I'd like to be done by 6 because I have some things I need to prepare for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare to take a break here. But before we take a break, Mashpaka, what any questions or comments based on what we have covered so far before we go to break? And I see Aki Yaderik's flag, but it might be an accident. Aki, let me know if not. But I just want to check before we go to break to see if there are any comments or questions concerning what we have covered so far before we go to break.
Aki, this is Kalia.
Yes, Aku.
I just wanted to let everybody know that I'll put the link in. It's under commondreams.org about the COINTELPRO.
Okay.
For today now, and it is titled 45 Years After COINTELPRO. FBI still thinks dissent is the enemy.
Yes.
But I'll put it in the YouTube comment section because they won't let me post the link in
Oh, you know what you do?
Chat.
You know what you do, Akut? When you if you go to Fuse, if you click into the chat box, but then hit Control and V, and it should copy for you instead of.
Okay, I'm sorry. I dialed in, but I'm not on Fuse.
Oh, I see. Okay, great. Well, I'll try to get it from YouTube and post it here on Fuse. So let me do that now. I'll just copy from where you posted it.
Okay.
Tuda Rabba. Let's see. Yes, indeed. So COINTELPRO is still very much alive. Let me go back to it. Under a different names, different titles, but it is still very much alive. Okay, I'm on the wrong link. Bear with me here. Trying to get back to YouTube.
Okay, on YouTube right now, I think because it's live, it's not allowing any comments to go into it.
Oh, I see.
After break, once we go on break, you'll do a new YouTube link. Yeah. So this will be in the first YouTube link. I'll put it in there.
Awesome. Thank you. Tuda.
All right. You're welcome.
Okay. Yes, so these are the things they do, but so you're not immune from them smearing you and smearing your name. They can do that, you see, and they will do that. But you must know that it is false and a lie, you see. And so we must walk in integrity. You know, that's one reason why I have always been reluctant in doing anything when it comes even to finances and our people. Because even when you're above walking above board. That's one of the main things that they use against our people, to lie against our people and to bring false charges against our people. That's what they did to Marcus Garvey. That's what they did to a whole lot of people, you see, who have tried and sought work to empower our people. COINTELPRO, bringing false charges, trumped up, made up charges against them. And people not knowing that these programs exist and that they use them against our people. They just gobble up whatever they put out there. You see? They just gobble up whatever they put out. You see? But we've got to be wiser than that, family. We got to be smarter than that. We got to allow Yahuah to guide us and to lead us, you see, to see how these people operate, because He will. You see, He will. He will. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna stop the YouTube live stream here shortly, and then when we come back, I'll restart a live stream. Also, the Facebook live stream, I'll stop that, and we're gonna restart a new live stream when we come back. It will have the same title, Lessons in Wisdom. So we're gonna take a break. In the meantime, I think I'll just let some music or a video play here on Fuse. So Fuse will be open, but the YouTube and Facebook live stream I'll restart when we come back. All right. So bear with me here. I'm gonna play the outro, and we're gonna go to break. Mashpaka, we will see you after the break, and again, Fuse will remain open during the break.